And being real. And we are gathered here today for our sobriety circle, which we started as a part of our Purium family. There have been people doing this work within our Purium community for a while, and we started our own kind of like team call where we can share our stories of recovery and coming into our pathway for sobriety, whatever that is for each of us, just to support each other and really make space and honor what we're doing and how we're doing it and how supported that we are by these superfoods. We've all learned a lot together about how nutrition and sustenance and just really self-care and self-realization plays a role in our journey and how supportive it is to have a community around us that really cares for us as we really care for our bodies and come together to share that knowledge with the world. So I welcome with me today, I have my beautiful partner Kia and her partner as well, Daniyel Love, and our partner Theresa and Heather and Kimberly, who is right now enjoying a conference with several other women and fellows. I'm not sure if there's any dudes on the trip, but they're all gathered together going to like really learn and dive in about how to share your story in a really powerful way that can reach others in a really authentic way that can reach others. And so, thank you, anybody who is tuning in and who's joining us today. So, me and Kia and Theresa met last time, and I've met as well with Heather. That was quite a while ago, but I'm really happy to have her back. And we have Daniyel joining us for the first time today. So, we're gonna kind of kick it off by letting him sort of share with us a little bit his story of recovery and his story of his personal grand rising on this beautiful morning. So grand rising to everybody who's joining us. And Daniyel, I'm just gonna invite you to go ahead and dive in and share whatever parts of your story you feel like can impact those who might be watching. Oh, you need to unmute. I will also mute that way. You can.
Oh, look, you get to invite me to unmute. How cute. That's awesome. Um, so thank you, Barbara, for the honor and the introduction. Thank you, all you Divine Mother Goddesses, for holding space while I get to express myself. And man, what a privilege to get to release first with no plan and have to really rely on spirit. There's a couple alignment truths that I just align with that work every time. One of those is if I open my mouth, divinity will fill it, and that divinity will give me the words in the hour in which I need them. And so there's no pressure. Grace will always meet in this sacred space of letting go into love. And my job is just to open my face, and just see what happens. And so my legal name, according to the system of the world, is Daniyel Thornus. I honor that version of me. I'm not super proud of the fruit that was produced by that particular man. My name on Facebook that came from love was Daniyel Love. And I've studied a lot of like my lineages and stuff like that. And it really lines up with a lot of the stuff that I was created to do as the spirit I align with decides to flow through. It's really who I am for sure. I got sober in 2006, 12/30/2006, and I've had one relapse in the past 17 years. And I don't really even like the word relapse. It's hard for me to buy in to some of this language that really teaches through what we're saying, lack, like, oh, well, you relapse, you have to start over. I still went to those meetings. I still said those prayers. I still did that 12-step work. I still did that inventory. I still made those amends. I lost nothing. And I'm quoting my LCDC counselor when I got my LCDC over a 2-year period, as well as my doctorate in theology. His name is Mr. Lewis. He's one of the sweetest, most balanced, feminine energy and masculine energy, man, the one energy, the source energy of life that's neither male nor female, Jew or Greek, but one energy, but happens to be in the duality of the human experience, masculine and feminine, which is totally beautiful for the frequency of life that's in all and through all to express itself through these two different forms. Super beautiful. But anyway, this man, Mr. Lewis, he said, the only thing you lose when you use is a date. That's it. You lost a date. And so I want to encourage anybody that's in here that's sober, that's a chronic relapser according to the labels and the lack of lexicon of light that a lot of times we have in the rooms of recovery. All you lost was a date. You don't have to restart. And really, it's not too late. Right now is the only moment anyway. So if you're sober right now, I'm proud of you. If you're not sober right now, you can choose to be sober right now. And so I recovered from a helpless state of body and mind in 2006. And it was genuinely a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps that produced a psychic change that manifested all of these promises that are connected to these principles, because they're not probablys, they are promises. To every action, there's a reaction. When I align with the truth of honesty and humility and all of these beautiful principles in the program, the promises are just the fruit of it. And so all of a sudden, I comprehend the word serenity and know peace. All of a sudden, the fear of people and economic insecurity leaves me. All of a sudden, I perceive that God is always doing for me what I cannot do for myself, or that I'm even unconscious of. And God, who is consciousness and is good and all around me and omnipresent and is always doing good things for me. And that's beautiful, because that's heaven. If we can just really be honest, guys, like, everybody's waiting to die to go to this God in the sky. But the truth is, it's all around us, and it's in you and I. Like, we're surrounded by heaven. We're surrounded by love, And what happens when you work these steps is you clean out all of the stuff that the blue book says that blocks you from the sunlight of the spirit. Now, I don't really know, like, if I super love the way that's said, but it's okay. I know what it's saying. It's saying that I'm unaware of the beautiful light that's in me and all around me all the time, because I'm in darkness or in unconsciousness or in lack of knowledge or in lack of alignment or whatever. And as soon as I clean out with that beautiful inventory that is, according to a lot of people, scary, but I'm here to tell you, like, no matter how much dirt you think you have, number one, someone has more. Number two, about 20 seconds after you share it with them, they're thinking about themselves again. It's okay. I promise. I promise. Like, we just think that everybody's thinking about us all the time. And really, they're just happy you're getting it out. They've already done the fourth step and then the fifth step where you share it with God and another human being. And so just get that stuff out. You'll become more aware of the present moment, which is the gift of life, which is love and light in Christ or God or Creator or El Shaddai or Source or Wakan Panko or the Great Spirit or whatever you want to call it. I don't care what language you use. Good luck limiting the source that's manifesting the entire human experience and a ton of other dimensions that are invisible and absolutely amazing and infinite. And so you tap into that, which is consciousness, and you start becoming aware of the beauty of life, which is heaven on earth, And especially my favorite promise is comprehending the word serenity and knowing peace, because then and this is also what it says in the blue book, we cease fighting anything or anyone. And that is freedom. I don't have to control anything, which means I never have to vibrate down into that low frequency of fear, because I'm in the illusion of being insecure, even though I'm in God, living, moving, and having my being, and I am as God in a body because God wanted to be me, which means I am God's will. I don't have to figure it out. I mean, this is when it gets really fun. Like, just be yourself, be sober, do what feels beautiful to you, And there's total rest in never having to fight anything or anyone, There's total rest. And I believe that's God's best. That's not a Sabbath day that I practice and go, I'm a good, whatever, Christian or religious person. I have Sabbath life, I'm in rest I'm on 2 hours of sleep. Do I look like I'm on 2 hours of sleep? No, man, I'm not sleep powered. I'm source powered. And the deal is, I'm not against honoring the technology of sleep and the technology of food or anything. In fact, we're going to talk about that because it's going to enhance your human experience drastically as you work on aligning more with the source and the force of life that is literally choosing to be you right now. But for me, man, the source is everything. Man, I've been a part of interviews with breatharians that haven't eaten or drank in 20 days or 20 years, and they've been in a a tank with doctors that are like, how is this possible? And they're just so in love. There's so much life when you're in love, that love conquers everything, and you end up being able to supersede a lot of the the paradigms of the normal human experience. And so anyway, I don't really want to get into that. We're talking about sobriety. So these 12 steps, you clean out all of the stuff that blocks you from you. That's what happens, because you're you, but you don't even know who you are, because you're so lost in unconsciousness and in unillumination, because you're in agreement with so many illusions that are based upon fear. And whatever you believe and whatever you perceive is what you receive. So that's why this is a program of rigorous honesty, because it turns on the light. You're like, I need to look at my temple, my house. I need a clean house so that I can trust God and get in relationship and have God consciousness, so I can expand in consciousness and I can perceive more of the beauty that's already here. And so you clean house, and then all of a sudden you find God in you. You're not finding God outside of you, you're finding God in you. And then your perception of everything outside of you, which is just a quantum reflection of what's inside of you, begins to line up with that love and that light and that life, that Zoe life, that heaven life, that God life that you've always been, but you didn't know. And so then you do the second half of your cleaning, which is also, according to many testimonies, terrifying, but really it ends up showing you how faithful love and creator and the great spirit is, that according to the stuff I align with, God goes before me. There's nothing I'm stepping into in this body that eternally hasn't already happened somehow. So I already know that I'm going to be okay. You know what I mean? And so when I knocked on that door to make amends to that lady that never had met me, I knew that whatever God had in store was going to be more good for me. Even if it wasn't super fun, it was going to help me grow in love or humility or the fruit of the Spirit. Because why do we even need the fruit of the Spirit? Patience, kindness, self-control, and long-suffering. We need that for situations that need love, which is usually people hurting or out of alignment or being the least fun to be around. And so even the contradictions of truth are truth that's helping me set myself free and increase my frequency, you know? And then there's the people that look more like truth and love than me, and they're just a beautiful model of what to do to progress, you know, and what I want to manifest. And so I knock on this lady's door, and she answers the door, and I'm like, you don't know who I am. And I don't know if you guys can see me, but my head's covered in tattoos. My whole body's covered in tattoos. And the lady answers the door, and I think I just scared her being there, you know? She was like, can I help you? And I'm like, yeah, my name's Daniyel, and I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict. Also probably not super comforting for her. And I said, I'm here to make amends because that's a big part of my program. And for those of you that are in recovery, you can line up with whatever feels beautiful to you. What I'm giving you right now, it might sound like it's in absolutes, but really it's because it's bearing a lot of fruit that I'm in alignment with these truths. And I'm not drawing a conclusion on anything. Conclusion means I'm unwilling to perceive more and therefore receive more in my human experience. And I'm never going to do that. I do not live in a belief system. I believe I align with those are bondage. You know, I want to continue to grow, and I want to continue to GNO more by the Spirit every single day. So this is just my experience, strength, and hope. Okay. And so when I say something confidently, that's just because I'm confident in it right now. And I might be confident in something new tomorrow that might supersede that truth. You know what I'm saying? And so if it sounds like an absolute, I'm not a Sith. Okay, Jedis? I'm not a Sith. I don't deal in absolutes. All right. But I do follow the force of love. And it's inspiring me right now to tell you that amends aren't I'm sorry's. They're not. Like, and let's just be really honest. Does sorry even really exist? Like, I did everything I did because I chose to do it. So how sorry really am I? Maybe I'm sorry that I feel bad. Maybe I don't want to feel bad anymore, and I want a cleaner conscience so that I can get out of the low vibration of condemnation that's tormenting me. But I'm not actually sorry. I chose to do these things, whether I was in my addiction or not. I did them. And so I'm not sorry. And this is another one for me, for my experience. It's not an apology either. It's an amends. I'm making something right that I messed up. And I'm willing to do anything to make that right. And righteousness is righteousness. It's not just my identity as a divine being that's in light or in Christ or whatever language you want to use. it's right useness of this body, this energy, this mind, these hands, you know, and so I'm in a righteous act when I go there to amend something that I did out of alignment and that caused destruction instead of life. And so I stood at this door and scared the poop out of this lady, and I said, hey, you know, I'm here to make amends. And I robbed your house. I destroyed your house while you were on vacation, and you've never met me before. She said, you need to come inside right now. My heart starts pounding. I'm like, oh no, she's going to call the cops, you know? She says, have a seat, young man. Walks in the other room. And I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It felt like the longest 5 minutes of my life. It was probably 15 Mississippi, if I can be honest, you know? And she walks back in with a pitcher of tea and says, do you like sweet tea, sweetie? And I'm like, I love sweet tea. And she goes, nobody in all of my years, she's an older lady, you know, and she was, in all of my years, nobody has ever came to my home to right a wrong, you know? And I was like, boom, just blown away. And then, of course, I got to do that with my sponsees. I had this little heroin addict from California, from Encinitas, San Diego. And he was like, okay, man, I did all my heroin over there in Cali, so I'll just write letters. And I'm like, no, we're getting on a plane, boy. And so we flew over there, man, and he knocked on all the liquor stores he robbed and all this stuff. He could have been arrested like 20 of his 30 amends. Every single one of them, it was celebration, or at the very least neutrality, where they're just like, I'm glad you're not messed up anymore. You know what I mean? And just keep doing that. Keep doing the not messed up stuff anymore. And so yeah, man, my favorite part about being sober is the humility of the founders of recovery. Bill and Bob were so whacked on love, dude. So open-minded and honest and willing, which is the original how of the program. That like and this is not me being like, I've left the rooms. This is a dude that goes to majority of the times 3 meetings a day still. Okay. 7 a.m. early bird meeting, midday meeting, and then a meeting at a rehab to go share my experience, strength, and hope there. You know what I mean? There's not a ton of open-mindedness that I'm seeing in recovery, the way that they pioneered it. And rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed their path, that we make our path because they were in alignment with honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. And so I just wanted to say this loud and proud. Bill W. was a radical adventurer, man, radical. And he was so humble. On page 164 of the big book, the last page of the official big book, he says, this book is meant to be suggestive only. We realize we know only a little, but Creator or God will constantly disclose more to you if you are willing to ask, which means you're going to get more revelation, which is another invitation to a greater manifestation of your human experience, which equals more spiritual awakenings, which means more psychic changes, which means literal neurogenesis and new stem cells and shifting your pathways and new thinking, which creates new life and more life and more life and more love and more love. And Bill W. pioneered that for us. And in 1961, he openly promulgated that he pioneered it with psychedelics. He partnered with Young in 1961 and started going, yo, I'm doing psychedelics. I'm doing it in a healthy way, and it's giving me awakenings. It's taking me into my heart. I'm healing myself. I'm beginning to start things inside of me that I never could start before without the help of Mother Nature. And he was totally open about it. In 1961 was the beginning of his correspondence with Young. And so I'm just really proud of our founders in recovery, Bill and Bob. I'm really, really grateful that Essie, Bill's friend in 1930s, found him broken, possessed by love, and was like, love is the way, bro. And he couldn't deny the vibration he felt. He couldn't deny the energy and the life that was beaming from this dude. And he was like, I don't even believe in this stuff, but that's real. So whatever's going on with you, I let go, and I'm going to align with you. You know what I mean? And what we say in AA is, you don't have to believe. You can believe that I believe, you know, and I don't know if you can tell, I align with some stuff, and it works. It works. I have a new freedom and a new happiness, you know, And my whole attitude, another promise, your whole attitude now look upon life will change. A real psychic change as a result of a spiritual awakening, as a result of these steps. They work if you work them, I promise. It's not about performance. It's about willing to align, and faith without works is dead. And then align yourself and your energy with these principles that are universal principles. They're Buddhist principles. They're Christian principles. They're all of my yogi principles. They're everything. You know what I mean? And they hold together this realm, whether we like it or not. So we can either align with all of these beautiful love things, and we can benefit because it's who we are and it's what surrounds us everywhere in many different levels of love, or we can be out of alignment with it and suffer and resist that love, and it will be a fire. It will be hell. It will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And so I'm done making my bed in hell. I don't know about you guys, but I'm done agreeing with my addiction that's powered by a low frequency, that's a threefold disease of hypersensitivity, extreme self-centeredness, and abnormal fear. And the solution to that is drink. The problem is not the alcohol or the drugs. The problem is fear in me that needs a remedy of divinity. It needs a remedy of a conscious contact with a higher power that gives me a power to do what I could never do before and be the best man that I can be. Because according to the book, we are beyond human aid. We need a higher power. And we have an amazing divine oversoul father and mother who is waiting to just engage with us if we will choose to engage with ourselves, because God is in us. Last thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to shut up. This is so scandalous. I wish can I just grab my big book without my phone falling? I want to read something to everybody out there that's in the recovery program so you can be super encouraged. And if I didn't read this from the book, all of you would crucify me, but I'm going to read it directly from the book. Okay. I think it's on page. This is Bill in one of the stories in the back of the big book. And it says, Henrietta, which is Bill's wife, for the guys that have studied AA, comes of age and all that stuff. He says, Henrietta, I don't even have to look at it or read it because it's just alive in me. He says, Henrietta, I am so grateful that I have been cured from this terrible disease. I just have to tell everybody, because he is experiencing a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of his spiritual condition, caring about his spirit above all else. And then as you align with the spirit aligns you with aligning more with your body and your mind and all of that stuff anyway, because all of this is divine technology to house God. And so I want to tell you that you can be cured. According to Bill W., you can be cured of this terrible disease every single day as a daily reprieve. And you know what it says right after the quote? It says, this has become a kind of golden text for the AA program. I have never heard that quote read in any AA meeting ever, other than from my faithful, ever. And when I do, people get mad, even though I read it from the founder of AA. So there is a solution to the pollution that was inside of us, and we can get it out. We can get it out with the spirit, and we can get a lot of that old energy out that's vibrating in our cells and has really made deficiencies in our bodies and made weak our organs with Purium too. And I've been doing that now for weeks. And obviously I am possessed by God's best when it comes to these superfoods, because I have never felt this good in my entire life. I've never been able to stay in the spirit or been able to hear it the way that I do today without aligning my body with the way of love. And superfood is the way, capital W, for me to love my body. So grateful to be
Absolutely.
sober. Love
Dan,
you, Barbara.
oh my God, you're so amazing. We love it that you're here with us. And I just want to say that I'm having this visceral experience right now, right? Like the golden thread, like you were talking about, the ability to hear from another human being's mouth the words that your soul knows to be home, when you hear it come out of another person's mouth in a way that is so authentic and so in love, it's so redeeming and it's so satisfying. And every single thing that poured out of you is so well received and just so known as truth amongst us. And anybody who's listening to this, ooh, I'm glad I'm going to have the replay, because I'm definitely going to put it up on my YouTube as well so we can share it and share it even more. I feel like I want to speak a little bit to the power of now, um, the power of just dropping in for a moment, what we're present in. in this timeline, in this three, even with all of these like five-dimensional truths, all of these like four-dimensional truths that are being shared, there is this three-dimensional reality that we're living within. And I got to go see a woman named Blue of Earth speak the other day. She's amazing. She's a woman who actually started going deaf a little bit through her life. And what she shared is that instead of playing the role that the 3D world wanted her to play, that she was losing her hearing and that something was being taken from her, she took it in herself to understand and recognize that she actually now had a gift because the rest of her sensual experience was heightened by the loss of her hearing, and that she now was able to hear the world in a way that others couldn't. And what she said is that words lie, but energy never lies. And when I think of that experience, like you were talking about, of going through addiction and going through like the label of, addict or like in recovery or like what did you say? Like when we fall down, right? We're repeat offenders of like falling down and going back in the cycle and all of the things. It's like, we're all just here learning how to walk together, right? And so when we have that experience of it's really a grieving and it's really kind of a loss of innocence, I feel like is what it is. In that loss of innocence, we are able to appreciate innocence again from a perspective that we never would have appreciated it, like with the amazing impact of had we not been through that humbling experience, right? And that's that shadow work that we're all within right now, which is if I can see it in you, it's because it is within me. And when it comes to addiction in this day and age, we have, of course, the chemical revolution, which has ravaged humanity, not only with drug use, not only now we're seeing fentanyl, not only the street drugs that we all grew up with, the traditional street drugs, but the meth that a lot of our generation was exposed to that we really didn't realize what it was going to do to our bodies. Yeah. Also, the chemical revolution of biochemicals, the chemical revolution of the cosmetic products that we put on our body, the cleaning products that are in the air, it's all in the soil, right? So there's this collective experience that we've had as human beings of this chemical revolution. I believe it was free love for the generation preceding us. And I watched the future generation and I witness the technological revolution. And I see them with their screens and I see them on their screens and I see them connected and it's always music and it's always this like visual feed of like, and it's a different presence of the same energy that maybe has always been part of this 3D reality that we've formed. But preceding that, and what we are allowed to always move back into is the divine intelligence of Mother Earth, Father Sky. That blueprint and that intelligence is way smarter than we are ever going to be. And the plants, the mycelium, the psychedelics, as you said, for every chemical um, uncleanliness as we maybe would see it, right, in this 3D reality, there is a chemical presence that is like the antidote, right? Antidote not being a band-aid, right? Antidote being like an actual resolve to the challenge, an actual resolve to the suffering. And what we've really learned through science over the last many, many, many years is that we can see what's happening. We can see how these chemicals that have been introduced are literally affecting our body in this 3D reality. And we're understanding now, and we know that our genes are like 98% able to be affected, our genetic expression, that our addictive genes, our genes towards diabetes, our genes towards many of these diseases, these miasms, right? These social miasms, but also like physical miasms that happen in our body, which we term diseases, are really just like a reaction to some sort of chemical impetus that our body doesn't know how to handle. And so we can really go back in and remember the voice of these plants and remember the voice of the earth and remember the voice of the sky and the stars and the seasons and become one again with the remembering of our body as it is and as it is to operate in total simplicity, in that truth that you're speaking of, in that love that you're speaking of. It all comes rushing back into you in such a powerful way when you really step back and you just can embrace it for the truth that it is. And I wanted to talk just a little bit before we go to Heather about this amends that you're talking about, because I feel like this is also a collective experience and how important it is to remember that we are all in this experience together on some level and in some way, whether you've ever had a drink of alcohol, whether you've ever done cocaine or meth or any of the things as many of us have. There are amends to be made. There are amends to be made to the earth. There are amends to be made to each other. It's totally human. It's beautifully human to have made mistakes. It's beautifully human to be in the process of evolution. And when you can see that we're all in it together, and you can see that I see it in you because I have it in me, and we all can humble and recognize that reality and that truth, the shadow just becomes a beautiful relief from the bright lights, right? And so just uh, it's amazing. It's amazing and beautiful to know that we can gift that to each other. And so thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm just like in awe of you and the power of your work and everything that you're doing for the world. And I know that you are going to just so totally dig Heather as well, who has been coming and sharing her story with us. Um, you two actually have a lot in common when it comes to some of your histories and some of your lineage experientially. You know, all of us do really. So Heather, I would love for you to come on and share a little bit. I'm sure you're just like eating all of this up right now.
Yeah, that was awesome, Daniel. Really was. I'm big in recovery too, really big. In fact, I worked in a detox for 14 years. Uh, I've been an alcoholic addict since I was 12 years old. Now I'm a crackhead. That was my drug of choice. I always ended up, I'd drink and then I'd end up on crack. It was cocaine for 17 years and then I learned how to freebase and then it became crack, and that brought me to my knees. That was the best thing that happened to me after 13 months of that crack ride. I finally hit a bottom, and I OD'd 3 times on crack, which is really unheard of. But I mean, my eyes would roll in the back of my head, and I was unconscious, and I come to in some pretty weird situations there. But that's the best thing that happened to me in my life because I finally had enough, and I realized I was just existing, right? That you guys get that feeling where you're just existing. You're like in machine mode. I'm a carpenter, so I think of everything mechanical like that, and that's the way it got, in my addiction. And I've been sober since my birthday, my belly button birthday, December 11th of '03. So that's actually the last day Bill W. drank, by the way, too. So December 11th, my sobriety date is December 12th. So I was born 6 to 8 weeks early on December 11th. So that's part of my story. I was born to be a member of AA. I really was. You know, uh, I don't believe in coincidences, right? The fact that I was 6 to 8 weeks premature on that day. And I so relate with the founders and love the founders of Alcoholics Anonymous. Bill W., by the way, was voted the most influential man of the 20th century. That's incredible. You think about that. Like that's comparing them to like Gorbachev, like a lot of different people, you know? That's incredible when you think of that. And that big book, that beloved big book, is in 164 languages and helped 3 million sorry asses before I got here. So that's a statement too. It's the second best-selling book, only behind the Bible of all times. So it really is my Bible, right? Mine's here. I got everything packed, and I think I got 3 books out. That's one of the books I got out. That and the 12 by 12 sitting right over here. So no matter I'm moving I start moving next Thursday. So the fact that that's not packed, that never gets packed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there you go. And I really love what you said by working those steps. I also me and a friend of mine, actually a sponsee of mine for 12 years, we took a big book study into a treatment center. We made a big book study up, a shorter version of it, so we could concentrate on the first 3 steps, because that's where most people struggle when they're new. It is the God thing, right? Like the God thing. A lot of people, including myself, had trouble turning my will over to something greater than me. And I'm so grateful to the old timers that took the time to show me those 3 or 4 words in steps 3 and step 11 as we understood them. And I was told, same thing Ebby told Bill, that why don't you choose your own conception of a higher power? And that worked for me. That was enough for me to continue on the steps. The fact that I got to choose my own conception of a higher power. Because if you would have if you would have told me that I had to go one fucking way, I'd be dead today. And so that worked. And my first sponsor is a native guy named Badger. He's since died, but he was a sun dancer. And he taught me the native customs, how to pick sage, and took me to sweats and took me to a sundance. And so that I still follow the native way. I still go pick my sage in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains here. And I pick it the 3rd week in July, which is the strongest medicine for women. Like, he taught me how to do it all properly, and you leave tobacco in the 4 directions, giving thanks to Mother Earth, and do it the sacred way, and everything's done the sacred way, and so that's the spirituality that I've developed and I follow. I've also read books on Buddhism. I read the Quran, and you're right. It's all love. I heard a theologist one time, a very smart lady, share her story. And I mean theologist. She went and studied in Tibet and all over the world, studied theology for 30 years. And she said it all comes to one sentence. And he says, simply put, it's love made visible. And it ties into exactly what you were saying. It's love made visible, right? Like imagine coming from a lady that had all these degrees and doctorates in theology, and yet one sentence, love made visible, right? So it's that means it's your actions. It's not just your thoughts. It's how you act. Like, how do you treat the street people? How did I treat the people in detox when they're coming in and they don't have no hope, right? Hopefully I was able to give them a bit of hope. That's all I was trying to do. Some love, compassion, and understanding, because I've been there. I had so many chemicals in my body, I got denied medical detox. So for me to end up working in a detox was quite a statement. I'm a carpenter. I'm a carpenter by trade, and I totally changed life for a while. And now I'm back being a carpenter as a result of the superfoods. Now I've got healthier. I got to tie that in. I've lost 165 pounds in total, 125 specifically since being on these superfoods. I'm no longer diabetic, no longer have high blood pressure, no longer have a CPAP machine or sleep apnea, 0 medications. Kind of got a bad habit of breaking bones. I got to get out of that one. I broke 14 bones in the last 10 months, 2 motorbike crashes. And then I did get back to work as a carpenter. I fell off a scaffold and just broke my collarbone here. And I don't advise getting a rose tattoo on your broken collarbone. I should have waited till it healed, maybe. Hey, that's the kind of girl I am. Tough as they come, as crazy as they come. I'm a biker chick and commercial carpenter. That's what I do. All around carpenter. I'm a finished carpenter, cabinet maker, all that. And in fact, the boss just asked me the other day. He's going on holidays, so he wants me to be a superintendent again. And so that's really cool. I could go in with one arm and be a superintendent and run the sub trades. And I'm working at birds of prey now, which there's 250 birds of prey, eagles, owls, and hawks, and so it's a very spiritual place. It's a new chapter in my life. I move next Saturday to a new town 15 minutes away. So new career again, new town. And there you go. I got to admit, there was a few uncertainties and fears. I had no place to live. I couldn't find a place for me and my 3 dogs. And then it all fell into place. But it took me surrendering again, Daniel. I want to say that I had to literally give up the fight again, because I took my will back a little bit, even with 20 years sobriety. And I'm bringing this up because we're human. Right? You guys talked about that, right? Like, even though I got 20 years, I can still I can still have fear creep in, and the uncertainties. And so I gave up, I surrendered again, and everything started to fall into place. I found a place, 15 minutes in a town nearby. I found really great landlords, small little house that I can afford by myself. I got the U-Haul lined up. I got every gas, electrical changed. Everything's fallen right into place, because I surrendered again. And that's what it takes sometimes. We have to surrender, right? And that's what we have to do when we come into recovery. We have to surrender. Like, my best thinking got me denied medical detox. So I really didn't know fuck all, right? So that's a good starting point, because by not knowing anything, you can only come up from there, right? you know, and I'm hardcore. I'm a hardcore addict. And then when I got into sobriety, I replaced my addiction with food. There's a reason why I ballooned up to 386 fucking pounds, right? You know, 386 pounds, grossly obese. I got to own that. I got to say it like it is, you know, and now I'm in at 221, you know, and I'm not done. I'm going to go down even more, you know, once I get back working as a carpenter again, I'll be losing even more weight, getting in better shape, you know, but I went from size 24 pants to size 11, you know, that's incredible. Like that's less than half what I used to be, you know, but the spirit, you want to talk how good that feels mentally and spiritually to transform my life again. And as our beloved co-founder of Superfoods here, Mr. Dave Sandoval said, he corrected me when I said I was 57 years old. He said, "No, you're 57 years young, Heather." And God bless him for that, because it's true. You know, I feel like I'm 37 years old now that I'm on these superfoods. Never felt better. And the superfoods and Purium amalgamated with my recovery, like in a way that I've never experienced two different things, two different entities that mold together. Like, isn't it incredible how they mold together and they fit our consciousness, they fit our spirituality. I mean, like you said, like right down to environmentally friendly, you know, compostable packaging, like everything, they align perfectly, you know. And I'm going to share one amends because you talked greatly about the amends. I love what you said about the amends because sorry is just a bullshit word, right? You know, I did that shit. I got to own my behavior. And the definition of amend, when you look it up, is making something wrong right. You know, if I break a fence board, a neighbor's fence board, I go to the store, I get a fence board, I get the same paint, I put it on, I paint it, I fix what I did. I don't just say I'm sorry, you know? I made an amend. I had a cabinet making shop in Calgary, and when I got sober, I moved. And anyway, I went to treatment, and I was quite a while before I seen the guy. And I went back there, and I thought I owe this guy an amend. This guy had a key to my cabinet making shop, and you don't give anybody a key to your cabinet making shop. Like my tools are sacred, right? You know, and so I trusted him. He was my best friend at the time, and we really, you know, I got to know him and his whole family, and I went to make an amend to him, and in my selfish self-centeredness, still, I thought I only owed him an amend, you know, and I went to make him an amend, and he wasn't very good about it. He was pissed, and he had a right to be because I vanished. They thought I was dead. They thought I was dead, you know, and so then his wife comes out crying, you know, and give me a big hug, come running over, give me a big hug, and then his two kids came over, you know, I was like their aunt to them, you know, and I realized in my own selfishness, I thought I only owed him an amend, but I owed that whole family an amend. And that's when I really got step 9. I really got step 9 after that. And I went around making more amends as a result of that, owning my shit, owning my behavior. And you talked about 4 and 5. You write down the good, the bad, and the ugly, basically, you know, and you own your shit. And there's something to be said when you actually write it down with a pen and paper. You got to own that shit now. There's no excuses. There's no bullshit. You're owning that, you know. And then you get your list and you go make your amend. You're making your direct amends to these people. And I like the fact that you said direct amends. The letter doesn't cut it. You got to go face to face. You did the damage face to face. You make it right face to face. You own your shit, right? You know. And so anyway, I really like that. I've had numerous spiritual experiences and a couple of very profound spiritual awakenings as a result of working those 12 steps, you know, and I just love it. I just love it, you know. I still go to meetings all the time. I'm not going to 3 a day right now, but you know, I go to at least one every second day, you know, still after 20 years, you know, and I still go when I'm asked to share my story in treatment centers and whatnot. I still go share my story. I still do that. No longer working in that detox because I'm back being a carpenter again. And to be honest, the detox changed. It's not the same as it was. It became a business, and I didn't fit the social work mentality of that place. I don't have a degree, a university degree, and that's the way they're going now here in Alberta. They want everybody to have the degree, and so I got out of there, but I still have sponsees, sponsor. In fact, I'm wearing a Canet that's got the A circle and triangle with 2 S's on it. And my sponsor's got one. I got one. I got 20 years. She's got 31 years. You know, and the other day I was smudging outside. I asked for help because I broke my collarbone. So I had some friends come over to load tools. I just left my sponsor's place, so that's one generation, Gen. And then there's me, then another sponsee of mine, Jerry, then his sponsee, Don, then his sponsee, Tim, and then his sponsee, Justin, and then his sponsee, Jay. So we had 7 generations of recovery doing a smudging ceremony out my front door here. So you can't tell me this program don't work. 7 generations. Like I got goosebumps telling you that. Like I've never had 7. The most I've ever had was 4 in a room. 4 generations. To have 7 generations, it was absolutely incredible. And the love and spirituality that just oozed out of that smudging ceremony. Everybody went on their merry way after that, and we were all at total bliss and peace in harmony. And and that's again to tie it into the superfoods. Like I can't believe how it just aligns. And these principles that Daniyel talked about, every one of them, the 12 principles, is a Purium principle. Like it really is, and I realized, wow, they're really cool, how they go together. And I'm just aligned. I feel great that way. I'm really excited about the new town, new change, meeting new people, back being a carpenter again. That's a gift I got from these superfoods because I'm healthy enough to be a carpenter again. I couldn't even tie my fucking shoes at 386 pounds. Now I can run up and down scaffold. I can, whatever, like that's incredible. That's incredible lifestyle transformation, right? I can ride a motorbike again. I couldn't ride a motorbike for years because I had no core strength, and now I can. So I've gotten all these gifts back as a result of looking. And I had to look at my food addiction. I had to work the 12 steps on that too, not just Purium. Like it all ties together, and anyway, I'm so grateful to be, and I get to meet all you guys, like of kind humans, like-minded people on a mission to help others get healthier, fitter, and wiser.
It's so
And wealthier
powerful.
too.
Heather,
Yeah, isn't it?
your story is so powerful. And yeah, I just, you know, we come into this place together, right? And we share in these superfoods. And I just have to say, um, the experience of gaining sobriety without the superfoods is extremely powerful to me. Now that I see and I realize and I understand, like on all the levels, what the superfoods and what deep nourishment and the support of these foods as medicine, these nutraceuticals, having that support makes the experience so much more seamless. And, those of us that really powered through and powered, even with that deep chemical influence of addiction, to power through that, it just is such a testament to the human spirit. And those lineages, those generations of people reaching back to pull each other like out of that rubble and the human spirit is just so strong. And that's what we're here for. That's why we're in this circle right now, is because we are here to extend our hands out to the people in our life who, even if you have already dropped whatever it is that you've been using to satiate that deep chasm that we have, that we need to fill, that deep grieving that we have for self. When it's time to fill that back up, we're here with our arms just extended to you. We welcome you in. We're here for you. You can reach out to any single one of us at any time, and we're gonna respond. We're gonna be here because we've been there and we understand that we are all in this together. And I just want to speak a little bit more to the superfoods and how the superfoods are able to support us. Um, when you are chemically dependent, you have a depletion that occurs in your body of the production of different hormones like cortisol and um, like a whole myriad of hormones, depending on which chemicals you've had in your body. It depletes the production of hormones that are supposed to make you feel good and help you recover back when you're not feeling good. And so when you are flooding your body with minerals and vitamins and amino acids and all these probiotics and prebiotics and repairing and mending and like clarifying and cleansing and detoxing your body actively in that process, those hormones come back online. And that experience, and that happened for me even after, having gone through sobriety. When I first found superfoods, I was not completely sober. So I was still in and out of drinking, in and out of smoking, a lot of marijuana and things like that. And the experience that I had with the superfoods is that it made it so much easier for me to not have those cravings and that sensation that I didn't have what I needed. That feeling that you don't have what you need comes from a malnourishment. And in this 3D world that we live in, a lot of people don't realize how malnourished we are because our food supply and our food chain is depleted to a point where we're not getting what we need. We're overfed and undernourished. So that's kind of like the basic concept of the superfoods. Um, we've all done our ULTs, our ultimate lifestyle transformations, where we have our aminos, those proteins, those are the building blocks of hormones. So when you're just taking these aminos, it's really helping you build that up. We have our biomedic. Heather, do you want to talk a little bit about the biomedic and tell people, oh, she's got it right there. Teresa's got it on deck.
Yeah, actually, if I can I talk about some different foods? Okay, because my last motorbike crash, I broke two pelvis bones, five ribs in my nose, dislocated my hip, separated my shoulder, and had road rash all over my face. And Allison actually sent me a little care package. And so I learned how to heal my own body internally from broken bones. And I'm not kidding, I've broken 14 in the last 10 months. So I know how to heal it. You need bioregion. Bioregion helps get rid of bone fragments and bone chips, and it promotes healthy healing. It also helps a little bit with inflammation. Joint flex is even better. Dave Sandoval, he made that joint. He got joint flex made after he was in a horrific car crash himself. So he got them to develop that one. That helps. I load myself up on even more antioxidants. These super aminos 23, I'm taking 4 times 7 a day, so 28 a day. You're allowed to take 30. So I take 4 times 7 of them. I also take BioRelax at night, and I put Iconic Elements in there in my Cherry at night. And all this combined, when I last got X-rays on the two broken pelvis bones, the doctor, the surgeon, said, "Holy shit, Heather, you like that side is stronger than my other side now." And 2 months later, I'm climbing up and down scaffold. So you can't tell me these superfoods did not help in regenerating. Like people are like, I'm working as a carpenter at my age, 57 years young, and I'm showing up 37-year-olds. Okay. Like it's fucking incredible. Like how these foods have helped heal me, and better yet, I'm no longer ignorant. I know how to help heal my own self now, and because we always talk about the ULT, Barbara, and that's why I wanted to jump on that, because there's so many superfoods that help with specific items. Super xanthan is another one, helps with inflammation, you know. Yeah, essential mushrooms. I love that. There's all these different ones, and reach out. Like Barbara's right. Reach out to any one of us on here and we'll guide you. We'll show you. It's not just, we don't just put foods in your hand. We welcome you in. We meet you where you're at. When I came in, I was bleeding internally. I had diverticulitis. My kidneys were shutting down. I was in emergency 5 times. Doctors were writing me fucking off. And I got introduced to these superfoods, and I had to go slow. I could only take 2 super aminos. Now I'm taking 28. I could only take 2. Oh, sorry. Turn the ringer off. I got no heat, so it's probably a plumber calling to come and fix my furnace. I've had no heat for 2 days here. Anyway, I'll call them back. But anyway, I'm all wound up about that. Like, it's very important that you realize there's all these different foods, and we'll guide you. We welcome you in. Meet you where you're at. I could only take 2 super aminos. I couldn't stomach a cherry. I could only do a third of a shake, and I had to build my tolerance up to the core 4. It took me 5 weeks before I could do the ULT, because I was so sick. I was so grossly obese and out of shape, and my kidneys were shutting down. My heart was out of rhythm. Like, I was fucked up. I was dying. I was dying internally in emergency 5 times in 5 weeks, you know, and so now look at it. My doctor removed my diagnosis of being a diabetic after 10 and a half years, people. That's never heard of. When you get that diagnosis, that's for life. And like, so fuck that. It doesn't have to be for life, is what I'm saying. I no longer have high blood pressure, no longer need meds. I know I transitioned into Heather. I was on hormone therapy for fucking 15 years. Now I'm on no hormone replacement. So all my hormones are checked out, balanced. All my cholesterol, everything is good. My lymph node system's good. All my blood work is good. I'm no longer bleeding internally. I was bleeding according to my stools and blood work for a long time. My kidneys, they gave it a functioning number of 83, and they were talking about putting me on dialysis. This was August a year and a half ago now. And to go from that to being a carpenter to like think about the change. Like I have to drive that point home. That's all these superfoods, people, and living a healthy lifestyle. And one more thing about the recovery, I got to tell you this, Daniyel, you'll get a kick out of this, and Barbara, everybody. My license plate says protected by Smith and Wilson. Well, only people from AA will get that. Smith and Wilson are the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous. Bill Smith and Bob, or wait a minute, Bill Wilson and Bob Smith. Right. So protected by Smith and Wilson. Nobody gets it. They all think it's Smith and Wesson. And I'm like, no, no, no. Have a closer look at that. It's not a gun. It's talking about something else. And if you don't know what it is, then you don't know.
Bill and Bob are bigger guns than Smith and Wesson.
Anyway, a friend of mine, actually a sponsee of mine, got it made for me, and I still put it on in Alberta, we only need one plate on the back, and you can put whatever you want on the front. So that goes on every vehicle I got. Anyway.
Do you guys have any
share that.
superfoods you want to shout out? I was going to shout out the essential mushroom blend because of what we're now learning about mushrooms and what that does with your nervous system and how it really helps with your brain. Oh, yes, Theresa's got. Go, you can unmute if you want. Tell us about how you love your greens.
The more greens are so awesome. I literally felt like a higher heightened connection as soon as I implemented these into my shakes every day. They have like all the highest frequency greens that you could possibly imagine packed into one bag. And you literally feel it as soon as you start putting them in your body. You're like, oh shit, what is that? Like, I feel so fucking good. Like just literally like the connection I feel with my inner God is like out of this world. The cleaner my body gets. You're muted.
It's like real, just the real, like we were talking about truth, authenticity, and love. These plants have a voice that is of the earth that we have forgotten because we have not been listening. And so when you put it back in your body and you're like, oh, this is what my body is supposed to eat, not
we
that
couldn't listen. We were clogged with shit.
Mm-hmm. Clogged with the chemical industrial revolution. Yes. Bring it back online. How about you, Daniyel? What do you love to put in your body?
I really like the the power shake that has 20 different superfoods in it that are coming from what I like to call living soil, that brings actual living fruits that actually promote a higher quality of life. Because when it's in dead soil or poisoned soil, it's producing a very low level of life in that fruit. And although it might still look like a fruit, it's not going to super increase your quality of life. And if it's covered in glyphosate and pesticides and Roundup, it's going to lower your blood rate, which is going to give you negative manifestations and symptoms in your bodies of soon to be disease or disabilities coming from it. So no. Power shake is the way for sure. I drink 2 to 4 of those every day. And that's just for me when it comes to food and the human experience. And you'll hear this in my Lexicon of Light if you watch my live streams. That's aligning with the way for me, capital W. That is the way. Purium is the way. These superfoods are the way for sure. I've never experienced anything like them. And I forgot to say this. I'll just say this real quick. I actually run a program called Get Recovered. This is our meeting room.
Yay.
And we do all the stuff. This is like a whole bunch of bedrooms with like 11 beds in it. And so if anybody a place to get sober, we also I just pulled that bag out of one of the clients' ultimate lifestyle transformation packages to show you guys that. And so this is just like an all-inclusive immersion into the highest vibrations of recovery and food and atmosphere, so
absolutely. I feel like we should dive back in another time and probably get into this in more depth, but I have done a lot of looking into it. My father is a research psychopharmacologist, So he studies the effects of alcohol and drugs on the brain. And so he's gifted me with a lot of knowledge just, by having him in my space. But there are some really detailed ways using the superfoods, even outside of the ultimate lifestyle transformation, that you can really dive into your specific scenario, what's going on in your body. We've got the white American ginseng. We have the Be Energetic, which just opens up the adrenals and like really gets those hormones flowing again. So I would love to touch base again, and maybe we can really dive into the science behind this addiction and how it relates to nutrition. And I want to respect everybody's time. And I really want to just thank everybody for coming on. And Theresa, I know we're going to hear from you more in the future. Thanks for hanging in.
I'm trying. I'm trying. I'm
And
trying to
just,
get out of my shell.
yes, girl, we're going to rip you
I've
out.
been in it very heavy.
Awesome. Well, you guys have such a beautiful week. And again, just thank you. Thank you for being here and offering your time and your energy to the space.
Thank you
Yeah,
for
An
your
honor and a
stories.
privilege.
They
Thank
were
you.
beautiful.
Do you mind if
Both
I
of
say a
you.
couple declarations over you, Barbara?
Please do.
Yeah. Yeah. So right now in this quantum entanglement and this oneness experience inside of the one that we all are in these bodies, we just decree the highest frequencies encountering you from the inside out. People are looking for impartations from man. I decree activations from your spirit, from the source, that just make you an even more powerful force than you've ever been before, Divine Mother Goddess. I decree increase in influence, increase in finances, and I just decree a future that is beyond anything you can ask or imagine. You're already experiencing it, and you're going to experience more than ever before. I decree that you love God, and eye hath not seen, ear hath not heard, nor hath it entered in the heart of man or woman what God has in store for those that love him. And you love yourself, and we bless you for your self-love journey and the reflection that it's brought back to all of us. And this awesome sobriety circle, we decree it bears much fruit, and fruit that lasts, in the name of love, life, light, Christ, Jesus, Creator, God, and our name. Amen and aho.
Yes, I have
Amen.
another you, brother. So much thanks. Appreciated,
Love you.
reciprocated. Everybody, have a beautiful week. Bye, Facebook.